Hello, fellow students, lecturers and followers. Welcome to my fourth blog post and final post for my assessment task 2 in communication in professional contexts. I would like to discuss the importance of intercultural communication in the global business environment. First, let's take a brief look at the definition of intercultural communication. Intercultural communication is a form of communication between individuals or groups who share or exchange information across different social or cultural origins. We know culture still exists, and most will say culture is the way we do things here, but quite often it is our behaviour which has helped us to act and react in a familiar way. Understanding intercultural communication can be determined by how we perceive other cultures and understanding what we see in others and what they see in us. In global business, it is important to be familiar with cultural diversity, to develop cultural intelligences in order to communicate effectively during a business transaction. This could mean the difference between making or breaking the deal. According to Yunsen, similarities between nations sometimes outweigh the differences, because culture and nationality can complicate the communication process and cause misunderstandings when negotiating or through any other type of communication process. Beckers and Batts suggest that some international business ventures fail because of 3 vital factors. Number 1, the lack of intercultural skills and competence. Number 2, the inability to communicate effectively in a global setting. Number 3, failing to apply appropriate etiquette in business negotiations. Furthermore, learning about what makes cultures different and what to do in order to achieve intercultural competence can be identified using the Hofstede model of culture as an example, which describes the fundamental variables to help understand cultural differences. These include power distance. This is how much hierarchy is valued. In some countries, many people will speak and collectively gather information and make decisions. In other countries, the most important person speaks first, and so on and so forth. Uncertainty avoidance. This is how society responds to future dealings. In some instances and places, people are quite acceptant with not knowing what is happening, but in other places, some prefer to know everything at all times, or in advance because there is always room for improvement. Individualism and collectivism. This is understanding the relationships between an individual within a group. An individualist society look after themselves. Their identity is determined by their individual status and self-principles. A collectivism society is based on individuals' belongingness to a social group or network. Individualist cultures are more likely to perceive themselves as autonomous, and collectivist cultures are more likely to be loyal to the groups they belong to. Masculinity. This is not defined nor specific to gender roles, but more about the traditional traits within a culture between men and women. One characteristic can be determined by working. Working is either to live to work from a masculine culture perspective or work to live from a feminine cultural perspective. Long-term versus short-term orientation. This refers to how cultures determine future plans by time framing. For example, long-term orientation culture in business can mean the building of relationships and a strong market position, whereas short-term orientation culture could mean immediate action. This model gives significant reference to intercultural communication and helps to understand different cultures in different situations. In modern business, it is essential to be culture ready, to have a mutual understanding within any business environment.